The mountain and the morning. There are days when you wake up and the world feels heavier than it did the night before. The blanket feels like lead. The sunlight through the curtains feels intrusive rather than welcoming. And the silence of the morning screams with the list of things you haven't done, the problems you haven't solved, and the battles you are too tired to fight. If you are reading this today, feeling like you are standing at the bottom of a mountain you cannot possibly climb, this story is for you. The Traveler's Burden. Once, there was a traveler named Elian. Elian carried a backpack just as we all do. But this was no ordinary backpack. Every time Elian faced a disappointment, a rejection, a heartbreak, a financial failure, a mistake, a stone was added to the bag. At first, the stones were small. Pebble of a bad grade, a rock of a misunderstanding with a friend. But as the years went on, the stones grew larger. The boulders of grief, the jagged rocks of self-doubt. Elian walked a path called life, and the path was rarely flat. It wound through dark forests and up steep, unforgiving cliffs. One rainy Tuesday, in the middle of a dense fog, Elian stopped. The weight was too much. His shoulders ached, his legs trembled, and the fog was so thick he couldn't see a foot in front of him. He sat down on a wet log and wept. "I cannot take another step," he whispered to the silence. "It is too heavy. The top of the mountain is too far. I am not strong enough." Elian decided that this was it. He would stay there in the fog, forever. The old guide. While Elian sat with his head in his hands, he heard the crunch of footsteps. Out of the mist emerged an old woman. She walked slowly, leaning on a gnarled wooden staff. She didn't look like a warrior or a hero. She looked frail. Yet, her eyes held a calm that felt like a quiet ocean. She sat beside him. She didn't tell him to stand up. She didn't tell him to stop crying. She simply asked, "Why have you stopped, traveler?" "Look at this bag," Elian said, gesturing to the crushing weight on his back. "It is full of my failures and my fears. It is too heavy to carry to the summit." The old woman smiled gently. "Who told you that you had to carry it all to the summit?" Elian blinked. "Isn't that the point? To carry my burdens and survive?" "No," the woman said softly. "The point of the climb is not to conquer the mountain with the weight of the past on your back. The point of the climb is to learn what is worth carrying. The lesson of the stones." She pointed to the bag. "Open it." Reluctantly, Elian opened the bag. He pulled out a large, sharp rock. "This," he said, "is the time I failed at my dream job. It hurts every day." "Put it down," she said. "But it is part of me," Elian argued. "It is part of your history," she corrected. "It does not have to be part of your future. The lesson you learned from that failure? Keep the lesson. It weighs nothing. But the shame, the regret, that is a rock. Put it down." Elian hesitated, then placed the rock on the damp earth. Instantly, his shoulders felt lighter. He pulled out another. "This is the worry about what will happen next month. The anxiety." "Ah," the woman nodded. "A heavy one. But tell me, does carrying that rock change the weather of next month? Does holding it tight stop the rain from falling?" "No," Elian admitted. "Then put it down. You cannot climb the mountain of today while carrying the weather of next month." The sunrise. One by one, Elian took out the stones. He realized that for years, he had been carrying things he didn't need. He was carrying other people's opinions of him. He was carrying anger from 5 years ago. He was carrying the fear of not being enough. When he stood up, the bag was not empty, but it was bearable. He still carried responsibilities, love, and hope, but those things were not heavy. They were fuel. As he stood, the wind shifted. The fog began to thin. For the first time in hours, a ray of golden light pierced through the gray canopy. It wasn't the summit, he was still far from the top, but it was progress. Elian looked at the old woman to thank her, but she was already walking away into the mist. He looked down at his feet. One step. That was all he needed to take. Just one. To you, the reader, you are Elian. The problems you are facing right now, the bills, the conflicts, the loneliness, the exhaustion, they are real. I will not pretend they are not heavy. But you must ask yourself, what are you carrying that you can set down? You do not need to figure out the rest of your life today. You do not need to solve every problem before the sun goes down. Resilience is not about never falling. It is about refusing to stay on the ground. It is about understanding that it is okay to rest, but you must not quit. When the night is darkest, remember that the earth is spinning. It is physically impossible for the night to last forever. The sun must rise. It has no choice. And just like the sun, you have a strength inside you that is inevitable. Take a deep breath. Forgive yourself for not being perfect. Focus only on the step right in front of you. You have survived 100% of your bad days so far. You are stronger than the storm, and you are more enduring than the mountain. Keep climbing. The view from the other side is going to be beautiful.